Welcome to the Eames University. Today we will be going through the overhead lines preventative maintenance on the mobile iPad.
Welcome, everybody, to another session of the EAM Enterprise Asset Management Software. Today, we're going to be talking about overhead lines preventative maintenance work orders via a mobile device. And in this case, we're going to be working with an iPad. So once you're at the login screen of the mobile application, you want to go ahead and just enter your password and user ID and log in. And click sign in. And we're now logged in. Now, the first thing you want to do is expose your main menu. The way you do that is in the top left-hand corner, you'll notice that there's three lines. If you tap on those three lines, you notice the left-hand side expands and exposes our main menu options. What you're seeing is four options, one being work order, next equipment, work requests, and settings. And down in the bottom left-hand corner, you'll notice that there's two other options. The first being sync data, and then the second being sign out. What we recommend is at the beginning of every shift, you want to go ahead and tap on that sync data button. So let's go ahead and do that. We're going to tap on sync data. And now what's happening is it's downloading any updates that have been made on the desktop computer to our iPad, and it will upload any updates that we've made on our iPad to the desktop computer, thus keeping both applications in sync. So as you can see, right now it's downloading data. This could be something like a new work order being assigned or an update to a work order, and vice versa. All right, now that the syncing is done, we're going to go ahead and select the work order main menu option. As you can see, it's highlighted in blue. Go ahead and tap on that. And it's going to take us to a list of work orders. Now, the first thing that I want to point out is that this list of work orders is populated for the individual that is logged in. So in terms of OHL, if David Chudzinski is logged in, he's only going to see the work orders assigned to him. And if Manny Gonzalez is logged in, he's only going to see the work orders that are assigned to him. So basically, whoever's logged in the iPad is only going to see what's assigned to them. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at one of these work orders. And I'm going to go down to this work order highlighted in blue. So let's talk about a few things here. The first thing in the top left-hand corner of the highlighted record, what you're seeing is the work order number 545114. Next to that, you're seeing a description of the work order, OHL line inspection, historics. Below that, you're seeing the piece of equipment that this is against. And what you're seeing first is the code, OH-HST-F-OB. Below that code, you're going to see a description of the code. So this is the OHL historic F line outbound. Below the description, you're going to notice that it says scheduled, which is indicating the current status of the work order. It is currently in a scheduled status. And then you're also going to see a colored green below that. And next to it, you'll see 3 and routine, indicating the current priority of the work order. Now, on the right-hand side, you'll also notice that it says preventative maintenance, indicating the type of work order that we are looking at. So let's go ahead and tap on that work order. And it's going to take us to it. All right. Now, I just want to point a couple things out to you guys. First thing is you'll notice that there's a variety of different cards if we scroll left to right. And the way you know what the title of each card is in the top left-hand corner. So you notice the first card on the far left says work order in the top left-hand corner. The next one is work order details. We then have comments, documents, activities, work order equipment, and structure. So we slide back to the first card. You'll notice that the first card kind of has some of the same information that we looked at on our list. You'll see it right underneath work order. It has our work order number, 545114. To the right of that in blue, you'll notice that has the status of scheduled. Below that, you'll have the description of the work order, OHL line inspection historics. And then below that, you can see the equipment, OHL historic-F line outbound. Now, one of the first things you want to do is at the bottom of this card, the work order card, you'll see two buttons, edit work order and checklist. Let's go ahead and tap on edit work order, and it's going to flip the card around. Now, what we want to do is we want to come and change the status. As you can see, it's highlighted in gray from scheduled to work in progress. So go ahead and tap on anywhere in that field where it says status, and at the bottom, you'll notice a pop-up. And you just want to toggle it from scheduled to work in progress, and then click done on the top right. Once you do that, you'll notice that the status has now changed from scheduled to work in progress. And then down at the bottom in the blue, you just want to click save, and it will save any changes that we've made. Now you notice at the top of the work order card, it now says work in progress in blue. All right, the next step is we're going to slide over to the activities card. And I just want to point a couple things out on the record that is highlighted in gray. You'll notice that we have one activity, and you'll notice that the three lines are currently red, and next to completed, you'll also notice that it says no in capital letters, indicating that this activity has yet to be completed. So let's go ahead and just tap on that activity anywhere in that gray section, and it will open up the activity for us. Now, at this activity level, you'll notice a few different cards as well. The first one being activity, the next one being book labor. Then you've got one called checklist approval. And I just want to point out that currently at the bottom of the checklist approval card, you'll notice that it says create follow-up work order, but it is currently grayed out and not green like the other buttons. The reason it's grayed out is because there is no follow-up work order that has been triggered on the checklist. And later, after we've generated a couple, you'll notice that this button will be enabled. You've then got additional costs. If you need to add any raw materials to the work order, you've got PM comments, task instructions, and if there's any instructions related to this inspection, they will be displayed there. And then finally, you've got comments. And if you need to add comments, you can do so on that card. So let's go ahead and slide back to our first card to the far left, activity. And down at the bottom of that card, you'll have two buttons, one called checklist and one called edit activity. So we're going to go ahead and select checklist, and it's going to open up our checklist. Now, I just want to point a couple things out. Here, you've got at the top, you've got the work order number, 545114/10. The 10 indicates the activity, so it is not part of the work order number. Next to that, you've got the description of the work order, OHL line inspection, historics. And then below that, you'll notice that it currently says 25 out of 34 complete. That's because in the interest of time and for this video, we actually completed some of the items in advance, so we don't spend too much time tapping through each of them. So let's go ahead and just tap on that line that says 25 to 34 complete, and it will expand the 34 checklist items. So what you'll notice is on the right-hand side, you'll notice the entries that we have made, that being 01 inspection completed. There are actually 5 scenarios that we're going to be going through today. And the first one is going to be inspection completed. So we just need to slide down the list to where we left off. And the way you'll know that is when you get to a section right below, on the right-hand side, you'll notice that it's blank. There's no 01 inspection completed. So we know that this particular line item is the next one up. So let's talk about a few things here. One, in bold, you notice that it says select findings and create follow-up work orders, which is the question for this particular checklist item. Below that, you're going to notice the segment or the block or intersection that this particular checklist item is for. So to the left, you've got OH-F-15th-ST for street, -market, -ST-OB for outbound. And next to that, you've got the description F-OB for F line outbound, Market Street, 15th Street intersection. This basically means that you are on Market Street at the 15th Street intersection. And what we encourage you to do is to focus on the description and not the code when you're going through these items. All right, so the first scenario is going to be going through a PM inspection, and we're here at the Market Street, 15th Street intersection, and there's no issues to report. What you're going to do is you're going to select the findings field, and it's going to open up a list of findings. And what you want to do is you want to just select inspection 01 inspection completed. When you select that, that basically means that we've inspected this section of the line and there is no issues to report. The next thing you want to do is tap on the final occurrence button. Once you selected the button, it will turn blue. If the button has not turned blue, that means the button has not been selected. Okay, now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go on to the next checklist item, and all we got to do is tap on the next one down. It will collapse the previous one we were on and expand the next one. So now you'll notice that this one is F-OB Market Street, 15th Street to Sanchez Street. Now I want to point something else out. As soon as we select a finding, all right, if we come and we select 01 inspection completed, I want you to notice what happens to the next occurrence below. Currently it says F-OB Market Street, Sanchez Street intersection. All right, when we select a finding, for example, inspection completed, you'll notice that the next one down has now duplicated to F-OB Market Street, 15th Street to Sanchez Street. So if we have multiple occurrences or multiple findings for this particular section of the line, then we can enter them. When you select a finding, for example, we're currently on F-OB Market Street, Sanchez Street intersection. Now I want you to notice the next checklist item down, which is F-OB Market Street, Sanchez Street to Noe Street. Now when I select a finding, for example, inspection completed, I want you to notice that the next checklist item has now changed to a duplicate of the current one that we're on. So notice that the next one down also says Market Street, Sanchez Street intersection. Now, in order to get rid of that, if we only have one issue or one finding for this particular piece of the line, you select final occurrence. Now, when I do that, notice what happens to the next checklist item down. Now you notice the next checklist item has now changed back to Market Street, Sanchez Street to Noe Street. Okay, so let's go ahead and tap on the next one down. Now, in this case, we're going to talk about a scenario where you found an issue on the line and you repaired it on the spot, which means that you did not need to create a follow-up work order. So now we're on F-OB Market Street, Sanchez Street to Noe Street. And we're going to tap on our findings and we're going to select inspection repaired. Now, the next step is click final occurrence to remove the second occurrence of this segment. And in the notes field, just type in a little note as to the repair action that you performed. We could say something like, notice the brass was worn down and replaced it. or anything that you would repair on the spot during an inspection. Okay. Now the next scenario is where we actually find an issue on a defect on a particular segment. So let's go down to our next checklist item, and this next one is F-OB, Market Street, Noe Street intersection. So in this case, we're inspecting the line and we actually find an issue. So let's go ahead and select our findings. And we are going to only find one issue with this particular segment. So let's just say it was a bar issue or a bull ring. Let's select bull ring. Okay. Now, again, remember that once we select a finding, the Noe Street intersection segment is going to duplicate, as you can see on the next checklist item down. So what we want to do is we want to select final occurrence because there's only one defect for this intersection. And now you notice that second Noe Street intersection occurrence has disappeared. And what we want to do is we want to select follow up. Now remember, when you select the buttons, they do turn blue, indicating that they have been selected. If they do not turn blue, they have not been selected. And now in the notes field, you want to go ahead and tap in there, and you want to set a priority for the follow-up work order. So the way you do that is by entering a PRTY and a number, either 1, 2, 1, 2, 4, or 5. Now, the reason we skipped on 3 is if you do not enter a PRTY and a number 1 through 5, it will automatically default the follow-up corrective work order to a priority 3. So in this case, let's go ahead and say it's a priority 2. So we entered PRTY2, and I'm going to separate that with a colon, and this is not required. It just helps with search arguments in the future. You can use any type of separation you'd like. The key thing to keep in mind is entering PRTY2 with no spaces at all, just one single entry. And it does not matter if it's capital or lowercase. Now, the next thing you probably want to enter is maybe a location as to where the issue is. So we can say, it's at 123 Noe Street at the northwest corner. You can also enter any other specific information in terms of where the issue is located. You can say something like located near the Burger King drive-through or something, or anything along the lines that could help with identifying exactly where the issue was found. Okay, so now what we've done is we've entered a defect for the Noe Street intersection, being the bull ring. We said that this is the only issue that we found for this intersection, so we selected final occurrence. And then we said that we wanted to create a follow-up work order for somebody to come out later at a later date to fix this issue. And then we entered a note starting with the priority. So we entered PRTY2, indicating this is a priority 2. We entered the address saying this is at 123 Noe Street at the northwest corner. And then we said it's located near the Burger King. You probably will also want to enter some additional information in terms of what the issue was. So we can say the bull ring was broken and needs to be replaced ASAP. Okay, let's go down to the next section. And let's do another example of what we just did. Okay, so all we got to do is just tap on the next item down, and it will collapse the previous one we're on and open up the next one. Now where we're at is on we're on Noe Street, between Market Street and 17th Street. So let's go ahead and select another issue. So by selecting findings, it's going to pull up our findings list, and we can say brass in this scenario. So there's an issue with the brass. Okay, so what we're saying is there's a single issue that we found. So remember, what we want to do is select final occurrence to make this the second occurrence of the Market Street to 17th Street disappear. And as you can see, that just happened on the next item down. And then we want to select follow up to let the system know that we need a follow up work order generated. And then we come to our notes field and we enter a priority. Remember, PRTY. And we can say 1 in this case, PRTY1, separated by a separator of your choice. Enter an address, 456 Market Street, southwest corner. There is an issue with the brass. It looks like it is worn down and needs to be replaced ASAP. Okay, now we can go ahead and move down to our next checklist item, and the next one is Noe Street at the 17th Street intersection. So we can go ahead and tap on the next one down. And what we're going to do next is we're going to talk about multiple findings for the same section of line. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to select a defect or a finding from our list. So go ahead and tap on findings. And this time we can say, it's the 2-0 wire. Now, we remember there's going to be multiple occurrences for this line. So what you want to do is enter a defect. You want to tap on follow up to indicate that we need a follow-up work order, but we will not select final occurrence because we want to enter another defect for this same intersection. So if you notice, the next checklist item down also says Noe Street, 17th Street intersection. If we did tap the final occurrence button, it would remove that next item down. However, we are indicating that there are multiple defects for this particular intersection. So we want to just come over to our notes field, enter a priority, PRTY, we can say 4 in this case, and separator saying at 678 17th Street, the 2-0 wire is running thin and needs to be replaced in the near future. You can also say the defect is located near the movie theater or a landmark of your choice. All right. Now we want to say that we found another issue for the same section of the line, the 17th Street intersection. So what we'll do is we'll select the next occurrence of the 17th Street intersection down below, and we will enter another defect for this segment. This time, let's also say that we found an issue with the cross arm. Okay, so what we're going to actually do is we're going to say that there's 3 issues for this particular intersection. All right, so remember, cross arm, we select our defect, select the follow-up button. All right, and we're not going to select the final occurrence because now you'll notice that there's actually a third occurrence of the 17th Street intersection. It's the next one down. So let's go ahead and enter our priority, PRTY. We'll say this is also a 4. Cross arm looks like it is malfunctioning. Need to be addressed soon. Okay. Now remember, we're not going to select final occurrence because we're going to actually enter a third defect for this same 17th Street intersection. Okay, so let's go ahead and select the next one down, which is also the 17th Street intersection. So you'll notice that the two above the current checklist item we're on are also both the 17th Street intersection, the first issue being the 2-0 wire, the second issue being the cross arm, and now we're going to enter a third issue for the same intersection. So let's go ahead and say, it's a problem with the bar. So we'll go ahead and select the bar, we'll select the follow-up button, and now this time, since it's the final occurrence, the third and final defect that we have found for the 17th Street intersection, we're going to tap on the final occurrence. When we do that, you'll notice that the fourth occurrence of the 17th Street intersection, which is the next checklist item on the list, will disappear. So we select final occurrence, and now you'll notice that it has been removed, and the next segment of line is back up on our list, Noe Street to Market Street. Okay, so we selected the bar, follow up, and on our final occurrence, we tap the final occurrence button. And now let's go ahead and enter a priority, PRTY. Let's say this was a priority 2. We can say near 15145 17th Street. The bar seems to be having an issue, needs to be looked at right away, or any type of notes that you feel accurately summarize the issue that you are describing, along with any geographical location, addresses, landmarks, etc. Near the pizza shop. Okay. So now what we have done is we have selected 3 issues for the 17th Street intersection. The first being the 2-0 wire, the next one down being the cross arm, and finally the third and final one being the bar. Okay. Now let's go ahead and continue with our checklist. And we're going to go down to the next one, and we're just going to say, inspection completed, no issues. Remember to select the final occurrence button so we don't get a duplicated line for the Noe Street to Market Street. And notice that the next one disappears. And now let's go on to our next one, which is 17th Street, Market Street intersection. And remember, as soon as I select a finding, it's going to duplicate this line. So what we want to do is select final occurrence, indicating that there's only one occurrence for the Market Street intersection. And our last piece of the checklist is the Noe Street, 17th Street intersection. And we're going to say inspection completed, indicating that there are no issues. Okay. Now, you'll notice at the top left-hand corner of this checklist, it now says 37 out of 37 complete, meaning that we have completed the entire checklist. If you wanted to review, you can scroll up, and on the right-hand side, it will have all of your entries displayed, so you know what you have covered and what you haven't. All right, and what we want to do is we want to go ahead and exit out of the checklist by selecting the X in the top right-hand corner. And the next step is going to be the checklist approval card. Now, if you recall at the beginning of this video, I pointed out that the create follow-up work order button at the bottom of the checklist approval card was gray. And that was because we hadn't triggered any follow-up work orders on the checklist. But now, as you just recently recalled, we have 3 issues for a particular intersection, and we also had a single issue for another segment on the line. So now the follow-up work order button has now been enabled to green. So in order to generate those follow-up work orders, we want to tap on that create follow work order button. And when we do that, you'll notice at the top of the card, a little notification will pop up. And it says follow-up work orders will be created after syncing with the EAM server. Okay? So that means that that same sync data action that we performed at the beginning will need to be performed before we log out of our iPad. Now we can go ahead and slide over to our first card called activity. And at the bottom, what we want to do is hit edit activity. And it's going to flip the card around. And we want to come to the completed field, as you can see highlighted in gray. And we want to just slide that button on the right to the right. And when it has been completed, you'll notice that it turns green, indicating that we have completed this activity. Okay, now you just want to hit save at the bottom in blue. And it will save the changes that we just made. Next, you want to head back to the work order level. So at the top left-hand corner, we'll hit that back arrow. And that'll take us back to our work order. And I want to point out that those 3 red lines that we previously saw are now green, and completed now says yes next to it, indicating that this activity has been completed. Now let's go ahead and just slide over back to our first card called work order. And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and change the status of the work order. And we're going to do so by selecting edit work order at the bottom of the card. It's going to flip the card around. We're going to come to the status. And then we get the pop-up at the bottom, and you're going to change it from work in progress to field complete. And then you're going to select done. Now you notice that the status has been changed to field complete. Go ahead and click save at the bottom in blue. And now at the top of the work order, you'll notice in blue, it now says field complete. Finally, we want to go head back to our main menu so we can do our sync data and ensure that our follow-up work orders are going to get generated. So we're in the top left-hand corner, go ahead and select that back left arrow. It's going to take us back to our list of work orders. And remember, to expose our main menu, you want to hit the 3 lines in the top left-hand corner, which will expose our main menu. And in the bottom left, go ahead and tap sync data. Now again, what this is doing is it's going to create our follow-up work orders that we indicated on the checklist. It's going to upload all of the changes that we just entered on our checklist to the desktop version. And it's going to download any updates that somebody may have made on the desktop to our iPads, thus keeping both systems and applications in sync. Okay, and once this has been completed, you can go ahead and log out by hitting the sign out button in the bottom left, or you can go back to your work orders and select the next work order for you to work on. All right, thank you for joining me today. Appreciate it, and we'll see you on the next video.